Where are you at?
We got a Hola y bienvenidos y bienvenidas. We've got some folks out for the high holidays. I think that ends tonight. So there'll be a few of the usual suspects out. But I know they'll be watching later. So anyway, greetings to everybody, whether you're watching now or later. Y bueno, ¿qué vamos a hacer hoy? Hoy vamos a practicar o repasar, review un poquito más de números. We're going to do a little bit. I'll do a little dictado, a little dictation. So, have a little pen or pencil and just some scrappy paper. It doesn't have to be anything good to practice. I'll do a little verbal dictation, and we're going to have a little number video for you to watch later for homework, because doing a little bit of that several days is always helpful. Only doing one shot doesn't do it for people usually. So, bueno, vamos a empezar aquí antes de escribir un dictado, before writing a dictation. Primero vamos a empezar con fotos. Tenemos fotos útiles y vamos a hablar de las fotos de los precios, ¿sí? Un uso muy común para los números, a very common use for numbers, es hablar del precio de una cosa, de hablar de los precios. Y vamos a ver si ustedes pueden adivinar, if you can guess, ¿sí? Cuáles son los precios de los productos. Y voy a engrandecer esto un poquito más para que puedan ver aquí. Bueno, ok, a ver. Primero tenemos hay unos ejemplos de electrodomésticos. ¿Qué es un electrodoméstico? Electrodoméstico. Voy a escribir un electrodoméstico. Es un electrodoméstico. Look at what's built into that. Electro tells you it is
Electric.
Okay. Doméstico
For the home.
for the home. For the home. Okay. Appliance. Sí, Rita. Sí. Excelente. Sí. Electrodoméstico. Y claro que es el electrodoméstico. Electrodoméstico es el término, es la palabra que usamos en español para hablar de appliances. ¿Sí? Bueno, entonces vamos a hablar de electrodomésticos y los precios, y vamos a repasar precios un poquito. Bueno, si yo les digo, if I say to you guys, si yo les digo ¿cuál es el electrodoméstico que tiene el precio? ¿Qué cuesta? The cost. ¿Qué cuesta? Por ejemplo, el electrodoméstico que cuesta $99.99. $99. ¿Cuál es?
$99.
¿Cuál es el electrodoméstico que cuesta $99.99?
Keurig Classic.
Sí, ¿cuál es? I've got little labels on things.
Yeah, okay.
Okay? Sí, ¿cómo se dice o cuál es? Sí, el electrodoméstico que cuesta $99.
La cafetera enorme.
La cafetera enorme. Sí, sí, es este, o es esta. Sí, es el modelo Keurig. Sí, el modelo de cafetera que se llama Keurig. La marca es Keurig, pero es una cafetera enorme. ¿Qué es una cafetera? ¿Qué es una cafetera?
Coffee
Any
pot.
coffee, yeah, coffee maker. Sí, coffee maker, coffee pot. Sí, eso es la cafetera, cafetera. And you can kind of guess at that. It's got cafe built into it. That ERA or ERO at the end tells you something that does that job. So its job is it makes coffee. Bueno, vale. A ver. ¿Cuál es bueno, el producto, ¿cuál es el producto que cuesta $59? 59. ¿Cuál es el producto que cuesta 59?
Cuenta.
Cafetera.
Sí.
La cafetería pequeña.
La cafetera pequeña, también de la marca Keurig, pero es una cafetera cafetera más pequeña, una cafetera más pequeña, ¿sí? Bueno, y fíjense, notice, cafetería es cafeteria or café, right? Pero cafetera. So we have to make sure we've got the right sounds in there. Cafetera. Bueno, ¿cuál es el electrodoméstico que cuesta $199? 199. 199.
La cafetería pequeña. 199.
Más aspirados.
Sí,
Ahora.
una aspiradora. Sí, aspiradora es. Sí, aspiradora. Sí, aspiradora. To vacuum, para expresar la acción de vacuuming como verbo, es pasar la aspiradora. Pasar la aspiradora. To pass it over your carpet. ¿Sí? Bueno, y la aspiradora que cuesta 199 es la aspiradora más barata. Es la aspiradora más barata que tiene el precio, sí, más económico. ¿Ok? Vale. Bueno, entonces, bueno, ¿cuál es el producto? ¿Cuál es el producto, el electrodoméstico que cuesta $54? 54. 54.
Olla.
Yeah, oh yeah.
La olla,
olla.
sí.
Olla.
A veces se dice olla de presión. That's kind of a pressure cooker. Olla is a pot. Yeah. La olla de presión, it's a pressure cooker kind of thing, ¿sí? La olla de presión cuesta 54. Bueno, y también tenemos un air fryer, ¿sí? Que cuesta 79. Ok, vale. Hay 3 aspiradoras, ¿verdad? Sí. Bueno, ¿Cuál es la aspiradora más cara? La aspiradora más cara. The most expensive. And you would express that la de, the one of, and then the price.
La de
200,
200.
29.
Y
ah,
9, sí, 200. La de $279, ¿sí? La de $279. Perfecto, ¿sí? Y entonces también tenemos una aspiradora de 229, 229, ¿no? A 229. Bueno, aquí tenemos otros productos. Bueno, fantástico. ¿Cuál es el producto? Which one is the product? ¿Cuál es el producto que cuesta $99? 99. See if you can guess which tag goes with that. ¿Cuál es el producto que cuesta 99?
El altavoz altoparlante.
Sí, eso es, sí. El altavoz, hay dos términos y depende de la región. Altavoz or altaparlante, ¿sí? Son speakers, ¿sí? Un producto que produce el sonido para música, para la televisión, para la computadora, lo que sea, whatever it might be. Sí, el altavoz o el altaparlante, sí, cuesta $99. Bueno, sí. ¿Cuál es el producto que cuesta 199? 199.
El reloj inteligente.
Sí, el reloj inteligente, sí, el reloj inteligente. Estos dos relojes en la foto son relojes de Apple, ¿bien? Sí. Bueno, ¿cuál es el producto que cuesta 379? 379.
los
Los televisores inteligentes.
Sí, un televisor inteligente cuesta 379, ¿sí? Y el otro televisor que es más barato, cuesta 299, ¿sí? Y por fin tenemos un producto aquí que cuesta 499. ¿Cuál es el producto que cuesta 499?
Un sistema Xbox.
Xbox.
Eso sí, un sistema Xbox. Y cuando hay muchos productos, especialmente con una marca, especially with the brand name, sí, es Xbox, sí. Sometimes you don't really get a translation. Sí, un reloj inteligente, sí, pero a veces no. Sometimes we don't get an actual translation thing. Okay, vale. We're going to do a little quick writing dictation now. See, okay, so grab something to write with. Algo. I'm going to type these up so I can show you the answer later. Más tarde, a ver. Uy. Ok. Vamos a tener como 8 números más o menos. 8 números. These are all going to be 2 and 3 digit. We're not going to get into thousands, right? We're not going to get into thousands. So I'm going to do a quick review while you grab something to write with, a quick review so that you remember what those 100 numbers look like, yeah? A ver, bueno. Remember, you know, when we've got our double digit numbers, we've got these, ¿verdad?
Mhm.
Okay. And a lot of these, I'm not going to say, 100%, but pretty darn close. A lot of these have a base or a root, in the 1 to 6. Always when you know the 1 to 6, 1 to 10. Always when you know something in the 1 to 10 range, the basis when you build the higher numbers always kind of goes back to some kind of core that goes back to the 1 to 10 range. Okay. So when you're listening for numbers in the double digits, you're always listening for an INTA. Now, 20 is kind of an aberration. So, there's no one straight rule that'll get you through every situation. But, 20, 30, 40, enta, 50. We've got that. There's our TY. When you hear the enta, it's like an equivalent of this, 50, 60, 70, 80. Yeah. That TY thing in English, it not 100% because you can see 20 doesn't really fit and 30 that doesn't exactly fit, but enta. But the core that it starts off with in many, many cases goes back to the 1 through 10. So when you know your 1 through 10 and you know them out of order in any old order, see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, you've got a good basis for knowing how we take roots from those 1 through 10s and pop them into the higher numbers. So 30 has a basis in 3, 40 has a basis in 4. You have to know to chop off the tío from 4, right? And we get 40. See, 50 has a basis in 5, 60 has a basis in 6, but we drop the I in that word 6. So it's just SES, not SEIS, right? 70 has a base in 7, but we drop the I again. 70, see? 80 is a nice base. Nobody ever gets 80 wrong. Yeah, 80, yeah. 80 is too much like ocho. It's kind of hard to miss. And 90 has a basis in 9. But notice a lot of these will drop a little vowel from that original 1 through 10 number. It'll like the 60 drop the I, 70 drops the I, and 90 drops the UE, and it goes instead into a one vowel piece, one vowel, right? 90. So there are our 2-digit numbers, and all of the hundreds, when we get into hundreds, are built on this ciento word. Ciento is, or the shorty version is cien. And the shorty version, we can all, without the to at the end, can only be used when it's exactly 100, right? 101 and up, it's got to be ciento, with a to at the end, ciento. But all of the other words, with one really notable exception, are easy to tell because you've got this ciento in the core. So 200 is going to be 200s, right? 200. And that cientos word goes plural because it's more than 100, yeah? 200, 300, 400. Wow, what a great pattern. Bien, and then we get to this nasty one that nobody likes because it breaks the pattern. 500. It is never 500. It is never 500. We can't use cinco to do the 500 thing. It's got to go to keen, which is, I think, more of a Latin thing. Yeah, but anyway, 500. You still have the ientos, right? But it's not enta. It's 500. And just think of it as being keen. Quin is pronounced keen, 500. And then we go back to the patterns, right? 600, 600, 700. Bien, and notice our sete drops the I of the siete again, 800. Bien, vale, y entonces sí, 900. And you see what happens. The 9 always drops into the shorter form of not nueve, but not the UE, but the O. 900. And if you get up to that high, but we're not going to quiz any of these later, here's your 1,000 word, 1000, okay? But hundreds follow a definite pattern. This is the odd one out, yeah? The odd man out is the 500 word. So no cinco in 500, just 500. So I'm going to pop in some hundreds words with some double digits. And we're going to keep them like even. We're not going to go like dollars and cents. We're just going to give you numbers. Okay, vamos a empezar con el dictado, ¿no? Con el dictado. A ver, bueno. Entonces, el primer número es 140. 140. 140. El segundo número es 165. 165. 165. Vale, muy bien. El tercer número es 138. 138. 138. El cuarto número, fourth number, es 250. 250. 250. 250. A ver, el número 5 es 470. 470. 470. Bueno, siguiente, next. 515. 515. 515. 515. Dos más, two more. Bueno, bien, 700. 750. 750. 750. Y por fin, el último número de hoy es 980. 980. 980. Bien. Bueno, una vez más, 140, 165, 138, 250, 470, 515, 750 y 980. Y aquí vienen las respuestas. Here come the answers. Boom, 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 boom. 1 through 4 on the left. 5 through 8 on the right. See? And hopefully you got at least 6 out of 8. Hopefully.
Got one wrong.
Right. Yeah. And if you didn't, well, we got it. We'll plug in a few more things, but here they were. This was the hard one right here. This 500 number, the one that doesn't follow the pattern, 500, right? And 500 has the same root as 15, 15. But 500, 500, and 15, 15 don't look like cinco. Yeah, this is just one of those oddball things we've got. One of the odd aberrations from the pattern that we get with Spanish from time to time. Vale, ¿sí?
I didn't get number 2 right.
Neither.
Okay. And one
get
thing with number
4,
2,
right?
yeah, the second one, 160, that 60 words, 60 is very, very close to 70. So something to watch out for when we have something to watch out for when you've got the double digit numbers is por ejemplo, this 61 and the 70, right? See? Those two are very, very close in pronunciation. They are only different by one letter. So you have to listen very closely for 60 versus 70. And remember, too, that in Spanish, the T from 70, right, that extra T that comes from siete, the T's are not explosive T's. So if you think the T's sound kind of mushy or soft, they are. T's in Spanish are not voiced. They don't have an explosive puff of air. So they'll be very soft pedal. It is still a T sound, but it is without expelling a lot of breath. So when you hear people saying that, it will sound much more soft, much softer than it does in English. 70, 70. And then 60, okay, double S sound. Okay, vale, see?
I heard 150. I don't
Okay.
know.
Well, and some things you'll miss, but we'll drill a few things each time. Okay. Bueno, adelante. Moving onward and upward now. We're going to work a little bit with one of the really core things we've got with Spanish, which is ser, estar, ser, estar. Ser and estar are two of the anchor verbs that you learn first. And sadly, they both have the same translation with English, but they're used in different situations in Spanish. So ser, to be, estar, to be, but you'll notice a lot of the adjectives we had with our tricky description thing use some, not all, but some of them do use ser and estar. Let me pop that up. So I'm going to preview what we're going to work on next. And I'll show you the little video that accompanies that
So
in a
Marilyn,
minute. Sí, pregunta.
while you're doing that, I had a lot of trouble with this particular Rico, Feliz, Triste, and I found a page from Rosetta Stone that really helped me. That it just kind of it squeezed everything we've been talking about together in one place. And it gave a good description of how ser and estar are different using things like bueno or triste or listo. And I can send that to you if you're interested.
Sure. Gracias, sí.
I mean, it was just
Yeah.
kind of a summary. It summarized everything in a way that kind of gave me a one-stop shopping that really helped.
Okay. Yeah. And of course, when you're speaking and you've got to decide, it's always that thing of you got to make a decision quickly, right? But what you need to, a really important thing to think about is that estar is used most frequently with locations and with easily changeable descriptions. That little kind of cheesy saying, for how you feel and where you are, always use the verb estar. Estar is talking about how you feel, okay? Estar does not talk about what you are like, either personality or feeling wise. Estar talks about how you feel or where you're located or where an object is located, right? But ser is always used to put an ID tag on something. It identifies what something is. It tells what it is really like at its core. Yeah. When we say characteristics, where we get messed up with ser and estar is usually that thing of saying that ser is for characteristics and estar is for conditions. And it's like, well, those are both descriptive terms. They are descriptive terms, conditions and characteristics. But characteristics are something that's built into what that person or that thing is. Yeah. Versus conditions, which are easily changeable. It doesn't always work. That idea of permanent and temporary, it doesn't always help, but yeah. Anyway, I had sent you the link for this video, or did I not? Okay, no?
I don't know.
No, okay. We're going to play this because I've used this with a couple of classes. We're going to play this real quickly. Okay, vale. Bueno, you're going to see them using these words that flip around to different contexts. And some of it connects back to ser and estar, but not all of it. But this is about 7 adjectives, and we built this into the slide set. So I'm going to play this.
En este video vas a aprender 7 adjetivos que son un poco confusos.
Adjectives that are kind of confusing. Y confusos es confusing. So confusos and confundido are at the top of the list.
Ya estoy confundido, ¿eh?
Confusos means confusing, but confundido means confused. And look at this, we've got estar built in. Estar is how he feels. Yeah. Estoy confundido. Estoy confundido. You would never say estoy confuso. Yeah. Estoy confundido. So confusing and confused. Confused is how somebody feels. Okay.
¿Están listos? Vamos.
And we got one buried in there. Are you ready? Están listos. See, right? We could say son listos, but then it means you're smart. Listos, listo with ser means to be smart, clever, quick on the draw. Okay.
Hey, Pau, ¿qué estás leyendo?
Un libro que explora la intersección entre el plagio, la democratización del conocimiento de ChatGPT en esta época postmoderna.
Wow, parece confuso.
Not like reading, yeah. Wow. Y wow, sí, es wow. Parece confuso. Seems confusing. Okay? Confuso. Not how anybody feels, but meaning that thing is complex and hard to understand. Parece confuso. Es confuso. Confusing. Meaning the core of whatever that item is, that little booklet she's reading, is a very complex and hard to understand thing. Es confuso. Parece confuso. Parece just means it seems. Or it looks like. Yeah, it looks like a confusing thing.
Entiendo que te puedas sentir confundido. Yo no me siento tan confundida.
I don't feel confused. No me siento. Instead of estar, instead of saying no estoy confundida, she just changed it instead of no estoy to no me siento. I don't feel. Okay, but again, feelings, confundido or confundida.
He escuchado a algunas personas decir estoy confuso cuando en realidad quieren decir estoy confundido.
Estoy confundido. I feel confused. For how you feel or where you are, always use the verb estar. So, estoy confundido, or if you're a lady talking about yourself, estoy confundida. Vale.
Confuso es para expresar que algo causa confusión.
Confusos used to say that something causes confusion, that in its what the kind of thing it is that it is a complex thing that is difficult to understand. Okay? Vale.
Mientras que confundido es cuando quieres expresar que sientes confusión.
Confundido is when you feel confused. Okay. Vale.
No lo comas. Es para el postre. Pau, ¿qué te pasa?
Es que el tema del yogurt es muy sensible para mí.
And look at that. Sensible. Sensible sounds like an English word. It sounds like
Sensible.
sensible, but it does not mean sensible. Sensible means sensitive, touchy. Yeah.
Sensible, sensitivo, sensato.
Okay. Sensitivo looks and sounds like sensitive, but it's not used quite as much. It does exist, but you don't hear it a lot. You do hear sensible a lot. Sensible is sensitive. Okay. But if you really want to say sensible, it's sensato. That's a tough one. That is a harder one than confuso and confundida. That is harder to get used to because sensible, right away we think cognate, but sadly, this is a false cognate, sensible. It does not mean what it sounds like to us.
La palabra sensible en español es un falso amigo.
Falso amigo, false friend, that means a false cognate, yeah. And sensible is a false friend. It does not mean what it sounds like in English.
Con el inglés. Esta palabra significa que percibes muchos estímulos sensoriales o emocionales.
Yeah, you process a lot of stimulation and your feelings or perceptions, right?
La traducción de sensible sería sensato. Y la palabra sensitivo existe, aunque no es muy común que la escuches.
Okay, vale. We're going to pause there and we're going to go to two of our slides so that we take these little by little, poco a poco, ¿no? Poco a poco. A ver, bueno. Confuso y confundido. Confuso y confundido. ¿Sabes un ejemplo? An example. ¿Algo es confuso o estoy confundido? ¿Cuándo? ¿Bien? Como por ejemplo, por ejemplo, arreglar, fixing, arreglar una computadora es confuso, es un tema confuso. That's a confusing subject, ¿sí? See? And remember, it might be confuso or confusa, depending on what you are describing, right? Because that will have to change gender depending on the thing you are describing. See? Las calles de Boston para manejar, pip, pip, para manejar en Boston, las calles son confusas. The streets are confusing. Eso, ¿sí? Hay otro ejemplo. Do you have another example of This word confuso. And notice when I give the example of las calles de Boston son confusos, the streets of Boston are confusing, okay? Or son confusas. You know, we're talking not about how somebody feels with confuso. We're talking about something being very complex, difficult to understand, see? Okay. O, por ejemplo, la física, physics, that topic. La física es muy confusa para mí. La física es muy confusa para mí. Okay.
Some calle in Phoenix is confuso.
La calle and
Some of them, I don't know.
all of them, then we have to make it all of them. Las calles
Okay.
de Phoenix son confusas. Sí, las calles de Phoenix son confusas. Bueno, ¿sí?
Yeah.
O, por ejemplo, sí, la física, meaning physics, that school subject, sí, es confusa. ¿Sí? ¿Sí? O, por ejemplo, repairing, sí, una computadora es confuso. Repairing a computer is confusing. ¿Sí? A ver, ok. Pero es otra cosa con confundido. Now we've got to use estar because it's how you feel. ¿Sí?
Right.
Ok. Estoy confundido cuando. Estoy confundido. Estoy confundida. Y porque soy mujer, estoy confundida cuando hablo francés. Estoy confundida cuando hablo francés. ¿Bien?
Right.
Hay otro ejemplo con confundido. Does this make a little more sense now? ¿Sí?
Yes.
Ok. Vale.
We.
Una persona puede, puedes decir, no entiendo. O mejor, aún mejor, even better. No te entiendo. I don't understand you. Sí, no te entiendo. No te entiendo. Estoy confundido. O confundida, depende, ¿sí? If you're a man, you would say, estoy confundido. No te entiendo, estoy confundido. ¿Bien? All right. Confundido is how you feel. And for how you feel or where you are, we always use the verb estar. ¿Bien? Okay, vale. So we're taking this in pairs. Let's take a look at the sensible, sensitivo, which kind of go together. And I would suggest you drop this because you don't hear this word really very much. You do hear sensible a lot. It is a common word to hear, okay? So that is really the favored one, sensible. Versus sensato, which means sensible, okay? Okay. Por ejemplo, cuando mi nieta tiene, como mi nieta tiene 4 años, as my granddaughter is 4 years old, es muy sensible. She's very sensitive. No le gusta. What would a 4-year-old maybe not like?
Broccoli.
¿Perdón?
Oh, I think of food, I said broccoli, but.
Ah, sí.
You're talking-
Sí, comida, sí. No le gusta o no le gustan, sí. Por ejemplo, no le gustan, sí. No le gustan, and we should really make this either gusta or gustan because, right, it depends on the thing. No le gustan las verduras, veggies, sí. Muy común con los niños. No le gustan las verduras. No le gusta, no, es muy sensible. Un ejemplo, do you guys have an example for this, sí o no?
No le gusta los perros.
Otra vez.
Dogs, perros.
No le gustan los perros. Yeah, sometimes those perros, sometimes the dogs get a little intense for little kids, right? See? Sensible, she's sensitive, she's touchy kid, okay? But she's little, okay. No le gustan los ruidos fuertes, loud noises, ¿sí? ¿Sí? Bien, okay. A ver, bueno, okay. So, sensible, sensitive, as in touchy, really very, very hyper aware of sensations, or just picky, maybe? Yeah? Bien, okay. El segundo ejemplo. Para un joven de 15 años, for a 15-year-old, es muy sensato. He's very sensible. I am making a comparison, even though he's 15 and you may think 15, goofy age. Yeah. Es muy sensato. Él siempre, he always
Does his homework.
hace la tarea. Hace la tarea del colegio. Sí, always does his homework. Eso, sí. Bien, bien. Él siempre, por ejemplo, maneja con cuidado. Drives carefully. Maneja con cuidado. ¿Sí? Bien. Para un joven de 15 años es muy sensato, Él siempre ayuda a su mamá, sí, con la limpieza. He always helps his mom with
Cleaning.
the cleaning. So he's a sensible kid. See? Okay. A ver. ¿Entienden? Got the idea? Sí. Bueno. Okay. So, bueno, a continuar. We're going to keep going here.
Pau, ¿qué tal tu viaje? Berlín, ¿no? ¿Cómo fue? ¿Gracioso?
No sé si gracioso. Divertido.
¿Verdad? ¿Me explicas la diferencia?
Al rato. ¿Qué te hace reír? Eso es gracioso. O chistoso, diría en México.
So there are two words for funny, as in haha. Yeah. Chistoso, you hear quite a lot. And gracioso, which both mean funny, they make you laugh. But if you want to mean fun, as in having a good time, it's divertido.
La diferencia entre chistoso y divertido es que esta palabra gracioso, chistoso, está diciendo específicamente que te hizo reír.
Chistoso and gracioso mean that it makes you laugh. Yeah, chistoso and gracioso, it means it makes you laugh. But divertido has a slightly different meaning. It talks about amusement like gracioso does, but in a slightly different way.
Mientras que divertido es para expresar que pasaste un buen rato, aunque no hayas reído.
Okay, so divertido just means it's fun, means you had a good time. You enjoyed yourself. It was enjoyable, but not necessarily that it makes you laugh. Okay.
Sabemos que la pronunciación
And we've got a shameless self-production. So, okay, bien.
es dar un paseo,
We're going to
No.
take another set of words.
dibujar.
No.
¿Quieres jugar ping-pong?
La verdad es que no.
¡Ay, Harry! ¡Qué aburrido eres!
Aburrido. And we're going back to ser estar. How boring you are. Meaning at the core of your being, you're a dull person. Ser with aburrido means to be boring. Yeah, boring. Okay, deep in your core, boy, you don't want to do very much. You are a real yawner. Okay.
No soy aburrido.
I'm not boring.
Estoy un poco aburrido contigo.
I'm a little bored with you. Estar aburrido. Here is a word that definitely ser estar comes back in big time. Estar aburrido, again, estar for how you feel or where you are. Estar is how you feel, that you feel bored, you are not amused in any way.
Esto es un claro ejemplo de por qué es importante que sepas la diferencia entre ser y
And this
estar.
is why it's important for you to understand the difference between ser and estar.
Hicimos un episodio acerca de esto y está en la descripción del episodio. En este caso, decir soy aburrido, estás diciendo que eres una persona muy aburrida. Mientras que estoy aburrido indica que te sientes aburrido.
Yeah. Okay, vale. A ver, we're going to go back. We've got two more sets of words here. So we're going to go with our first two sets, gracioso or chistoso for funny, amusing, versus divertido. Okay, so ¿saben ustedes un ejemplo? Do you guys know an example? Boom, 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 es muy gracioso o es muy chistoso. Something is very funny. What might you plug in there?
La película.
La película. La película es muy graciosa o muy chistosa. ¿Sí? Bien. Ok. A ver, bueno, entonces, sí. ¿Algo más? Sí. El cómico, the comic. Sí, el cómico es muy gracioso o muy chistoso. ¿Bien? A ver, bueno. So funny, it makes you laugh. ¿Sí? Por ejemplo, sí. Sí. Los niños traviesos. Traviesos es mischievous. Los niños traviesos son muy chistosos. Yeah, if the kids are kind of little pranksters, they're funny. They're funny, okay? Pero es divertido. It's fun. When we say something is fun, it just means it causes enjoyment, not necessarily a belly laugh, okay? Something es divertido. Hay un ejemplo aquí. Es divertido. And you can put infinitives after this one too. So we could have actually the blank in front or behind You know, we could
Es-
also say blank, 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 blank es divertido.
Es divertido escuchar la música.
Sí, eso es sí. Es divertido escuchar a la música. Es divertido escuchar la música. Perfecto. Muy bien. Es divertido escuchar la música. And we don't do anything with escuchar because it talks about the act of listening to music. Vale, bueno. Hay otro ejemplo. Es divertido. Es divertido. Es divertido pintar. Es divertido comer en un nuevo restaurante. It's fun to eat in a new restaurant. See, none of these are things that produce a belly laugh. They're just enjoyable. Okay. Entonces, divertido es para enjoyable, things that you like to do. See, divertido, fun, but not funny. Pero gracioso, graciosa, we need that for something that actually causes you to laugh. Okay. A ver. Bueno, and let's take a look at our thing that will plug in our ser estar right away. See, boring versus bored. Es aburrido. Something es aburrido. Un ejemplo. Es aburrido. Some people might say this. Es aburrido trabajar. Es aburrido trabajar. See? Or we might put something in front of the es aburrido. See? Limpiar la casa. Es aburrido. See? Por ejemplo. If you've got a brother-in-law whose company you do not enjoy, you might say, mi cuñado. Perdón, mi cuñado es aburrido. Mi jefe, my boss, es aburrido. My boss is a yawner. He is boring. You know, you can insert a person in there. It can be a person or it can be an activity. It can be either one of those, right? See? But bored is always where we use estar. Okay? Bored, a feeling, a sensation that you have is always going to be estar. Estoy aburrido cuando, por ejemplo, hay un ejemplo aquí. Es aburrido cuando tengo que manejar, cuando tengo que manejar al centro. Maybe you don't like driving, right? So you find that a boring. Estoy aburrido cuando tengo que manejar al centro, when I have to drive downtown. Estoy aburrido cuando tengo que manejar al centro. Estoy aburrido cuando escucho a los políticos. I feel bored when I listen to politicians. Estoy aburrido cuando escucho a los políticos. See? Okay. You get the idea. We want a bored versus boring. Okay. And the ser with aburrido talks about something goes right to the core of what that activity or person is, right? Whereas the estar with aburrido strictly talks about the feeling you have. Okay, the not fun feeling. Okay, a ver, let's take a look at some more examples here.
Estoy muy molesta. Los patos están ocupando
But
todo
got a hiccup.
agua y no puedo nadar. Qué molestos. Un poco confuso, ¿no? Es la misma palabra ser molesta y estar molesta. Ser molesta es que tú causas molestia.
This is like confuso and confundido, except we don't have a different word here, right? Ser with molesto is to be annoying, meaning that thing is an annoying thing, or that person is an annoying person. Deep down, it is a pain in the butt, whatever it is, or whoever that is, right? But estar with molesto means you feel annoyed. Again, estar, how you feel or where you are, we always use the verb estar.
Y estar molesta es que algo te está molestando.
Something is bothering you if, you use estoy molesta. Estoy molesto.
Algo te causa molestia. Por eso Harry siempre quiere decir molestante. Algo es molestante cuando te causa molestia. Pero no es lo correcto, Harry. Lo correcto es decir algo es molesto.
So again, ser with molesto, it is annoying at its core. It is something that just, it digs, yeah?
Pau, ¿me ayudas a corregir esta carta? Es que creo que aún tiene...
Oh, perdón. Okay. Let's go to molesto. Let's go to the subject of molesto. Okay. Por ejemplo, aquí. See, molesto or molesta. Yeah. But again, we use it with ser or with estar. Ser molesto, to be bothersome, to be annoying, to be a drag. See, la gente que toca la bocina, people who honk their horns. La gente que toca la bocina constantemente es molesta. Yeah. People who honk their horns are, a pain. They are annoying. Molesto or molesta, if you need to describe it with la gente, we need a molesta, is annoying, right? But estar with molestar is to feel annoyed. Estamos molestos porque Alicia nos interrumpe. We are annoyed. We feel that way. We are not annoying people. We feel annoyed because Alicia is butting in. Yeah? Nos interrumpe. She interrupts us. Estamos molestos porque Alicia nos interrumpe. We feel annoyed. We feel bothered by the fact that she is interrupting us. There is a workaround for this, however. You should know. Sometimes we take this core word of molesto and we turn it into a verb, just like we have the verb gustar, to say like. We've got a verb that is not gustar, but molestar, meaning to annoy. So you might hear somebody using es molesto, it's annoying. See? Es molesto escuchar la música rock muy fuerte. It's annoying to hear really loud rock music, maybe, for you, okay? But molestar, we can turn into a verb that is like gustar, right? Sí, me molesta la música fuerte. Loud music annoys me. So this word, molesta, can become a verb, but that verb is going to be a verb like gustar, right? It won't be molesto, it'll be molesta. Me molesta la música fuerte. If it's plural, the thing that is bugging you, it'll be like mosquitos, mosquitoes, right? Antonio le molestan los mosquitos. Tony is annoyed by mosquitoes. Mosquitoes annoy Tony. Antonio le molestan los mosquitos. Okay, sí, ¿entienden? ¿Sí?
Entiendo.
Sí.
Okay, vale. And I'm not going to play the rest of this. I am going to, because I want to save some time for our verbs. I'm going to just do one more. You might hear this word harto with ser or estar, but usually you use it. I got this underlined. Usually you use it with estar. It could be used either way, right? But usually usually when we use the idea of fed up, and I'll let you watch the rest of that video to listen for it. When you say you're fed up with something, you've had enough, you're done. Yeah. Usually we use it with estar. It could be used with either one, but that is going to be the more common of the two, really. So, estoy harto de, I'm fed up with. Estoy harto de mis colegas en la oficina. I'm fed up with my coworkers. Sí, sí. Estoy harto de los perros de mi vecino. If you've got a neighbor who's got a lot of barking dogs, estoy harto de los perros de mi vecino. See? That is really the more common verb that you'll hear with harto. Yeah, see? Okay, so that was a good thing about some of these verbs and how they can, not all of them do, but some of them connect back to that ser estar issue, right? A little bit. And we'll take this last ista bit next week. I'll give you the link to that video to watch that. Okay, vale, ¿sí?
Sí.
Bueno, okay, a ver. We got some thumbs up on this topic here with the activity in Mexico City. See, was there anything in that video that you had a question about? Any part of it that was confusing, hard to understand? She goes pretty slowly, but no, nada.
No.
Pretty easy to get. See? Bien. Okay, vale. I want to show you. Here are all of the verbs. There's probably something I don't have on the list, but if I were to just do a quick list of the verbs she used, and she used very basic verbs, here would be a quick list of the verbs she used. Ser, estar, poder, venir, caminar, ir, correr, pasear, patinar, hacer, and that can be used in a bunch of different ways. Cansarse, andar, dar, pagar, tener, ver, comprar, querer, bailar. And then recordar, she used it as a remember this, recuerdan, sí. Volver a pasear, that is a harder one there because it's a combination of three verbs. Volver a means to do something again. So when she said, vuelven a pasar, they pass through the streets again. She was talking about the cars coming back after they're blocked for people to do their biking for the day. See? Disfrutar, esperar, escribir. Okay. Any verbs on this list that you don't know? You might not know this one. This was right at the end. But this one, esperar, was not really core to what she was talking about. She was talking about a lot of activities on a Sunday when they block off the streets. well, they block off a specific street in Mexico City. So any verbs on this list here that you don't recognize, ser and estar we've talked about, right? Poder is that can. Poder is can or be able. Okay. And we're going to combine poder. You can combine that with any verb to say that you can do something. So the point of that video is we're looking at common verbs that you hear a lot. High frequency verbs, right? Venir, which is to come, right? Caminar is one of the two verbs for to walk, right? You can also hear andar for walk. Ir, to go. Bien, sí, correr, to run. Because some people were running in the street. Pasear is to walk, and more with the idea of strolling.
Oh.
Okay. So we don't use pasear if you're walking fast to work as much. Yeah. Pasear is a relaxing walk. And they use that with walking your dog. Pasear al perro. Patinar, to skate. Whether it's ice skating or skating, like rollerblading kind of things. Hacer, to make, to do. And we use that with a lot of things. We might use it with ejercicio. The example she had here was ejercicio. Ejercicio, to exercise. Yeah. Because that is the combination. Hacer ejercicio, to exercise. Cansarse is to get tired. Right? And that is another walk verb. And it's also used in some ways with ride. If somebody says andar en bicicleta, right? It's going on your bike. It's riding, right? Dar, to give. Pagar, to pay, right? Tener is to have. And it's also used with lots of colloquial expressions. It's got lots of special expressions that are not translatium. Oh, let's call them idioms. That's a better term for that. Idioms, especially like tengo frío, I'm cold. Tengo calor, I feel hot. Okay. Ver, to see. Comprar, to buy. Perdón, sí. Aquí, querer, to want something. But remember, you will always hear that start off when it's conjugated QUI because it's an IE stem changer. So it'll always start with like quiero, quieres, quiere, quieren, right? Bailar, to dance. Most people recognize that verb. Bien, recordar, to remember. Disfrutar, to enjoy. Right? And escribir, of course, to write. Okay, so we had a whole bunch of verbs that she used. And it's a good idea when you listen to some of these videos to just like jot down somewhere on the side a basic, whether it's the conjugated form you hear or the infinitive it comes from, to jot that down and make sure that you know what those basic verbs mean. Okay, a ver. Let's go to some of these high frequency verbs and using these in context. So we took just some verbs that she used, not every single one of them, but some, okay? And we're going to skip the ser estar that you heard her use quite a lot. But how about some simple ideas with tener? We can use this either to talk about what you actually own, possess, have, or some of those hot, cold idioms. Un ejemplo, an example?
Okay. Ella tiene un vestido nuevo para la fiesta.
Okay. Tiene un vestido, has a dress. And that's the actual possessing something. Tiene un vestido nuevo, has a new dress para la fiesta. Perfecto. Otro ejemplo. Otro ejemplo con tener. ¿Sí o no?
Tengo que, tiara. Homework, tiara? No, that's not homework. I can't remember the word for homework.
Okay. Oh, tengo que hacer la tarea.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Tengo que hacer la tarea. And that is a super important use of tener. Tengo que, have to. And it indicates obligation. But we're always going to use that with a second verb, right? An infinitive. So, tengo que hacer la tarea, ¿sí? Tengo que hablar con mi colega. I have to talk with my coworker. Tengo que hablar con mi colega. Tengo que cocinar para la familia. Tengo que cocinar. I have to cook. ¿Sí?
Mhm.
Bien, sí. Tengo que manejar a mi trabajo. I have to drive to my job. Tengo que manejar. Bien. So tener can be used in lots of these idiomatic phrases, and tener que for obligation is a really super important one of those idioms, those non-translatable expressions. Vale. Bueno, hacer. Any examples with hacer? How would you ask somebody? ¿Cómo se expresa la idea de preguntar a alguien? How would you express the idea of asking somebody, what are you doing? ¿Cómo se dice, what are you doing? We have to have the what word, ¿qué? What would we do? How would we change hacer to ask, what are you doing?
Dices.
Hacer.
¿Qué
Haces.
haces? ¿Qué haces? ¿Qué haces? ¿Sí? ¿Qué haces? Okay. ¿Qué haces often won't get answered with hacer necessarily, right? If I am cutting up veggies, I won't use hacer to answer. I'll use cortar for cutting up, right? ¿Qué haces? Corto las verduras. I'm cutting up the veggies. Eso es, ¿sí? Bien. Ir. Hay un ejemplo con ir. An example of using ir?
Voy a trabajar todos los días.
Voy a trabajar todos los días. Perfecto. Voy a trabajar todos los días. Muy bien. I'm going to work every day. Otro ejemplo. Any other example with ir?
Ellos van a la fiesta mañana.
Van a la fiesta mañana. They're going to the party tomorrow. Sí. Perfecto. Muy bien. Voy a la farmacia a las 5 hoy. Voy a la farmacia a las 5 hoy. Voy a la farmacia. I'm going to the drugstore, right? Voy a la farmacia a las 5, ¿sí? Poder, so ir can be used to say going to do something in the future. Then we pair it up with ir a and an infinitive. It can be used just to talk about actually going to a physical location, like voy a la farmacia. But notice it's always voy a, right? almost, not always, but super, super frequently we'll have an a. An a with the infinitive of the activity you will be doing later on, or with the place, the actual physical location where you're going to go. Voy a la farmacia, voy a trabajar. Lo que sea. Bien? Okay? A ver, whatever it might be there. Poder, like ir, poder, we pair it up with another verb most of the time. We have to pair it up with a second verb to tell what you're able to do. Okay? Or what you're not able to do. Por ejemplo, no puedo hablar italiano. No puedo hablar italiano. No puedo hablar italiano. No puedo entender italiano. ¿Ok? ¿Vale? Sí. No puedo manejar hoy porque el carro no funciona, because the car doesn't work. No puedo manejar, beep, beep, no puedo manejar hoy porque el carro no funciona. The car is not working. Okay. ¿Tienen otro ejemplo con poder? Do you have another example with poder?
Puedo nadar hasta las 10 p.m.
A las 10. Sí. Hasta las 10 de la noche. Sí, PM. They do say PM. You do hear people saying PM.
Oh,
I think actually one of our little review videos, you're going to hear a PM in there. So be listening for that. Sí, hasta las 10. Hasta las 10. Sí, puedo nadar hasta las 10. I can swim until 10. And, after that, I can't anymore, right? You're giving a limit, a time limit on that. Pero puedo nadar. I can swim. Perfecto. Otro ejemplo con poder. ¿O no? Okay, here is a verb that you did not hear Michelle use in the video, but saber, to tell what somebody knows how to do. Okay, and again, we're going to pair it up with something. There's one odd one here. The yo form will not be sabo. You might think that the yo form is that, but we cannot do that, yeah? La forma para yo es sé. I know. Okay, sé. But the other ones do follow a regular conjugation. Sabes, sabe, sabemos, saben. Okay. A ver, sí. Anybody got an example for saber?
Tú sabes cocinar muy bien.
Sabes cocinar muy bien. Sabes cocinar muy bien. You know how to cook very well. Word is missing out of this thing. In English, we say, how. We don't need the word how. When we say this in Spanish, that how word, it can go bye-bye. Sabes cocinar, right, is all you need. Sabes cocinar muy bien. Okay, vale. You know how to cook really well. Otra cosa. Un ejemplo aquí, mi esposo sabe, mi esposo sabe muchas cosas. My husband knows lots of things. Mi esposo sabe escribir programas de computadora. Mi esposo sabe escribir programas de computadora. Eso, ¿sí? ¿Sí? Mi hija sabe montar en bicicleta de montaña. My daughter knows how to mountain bike. Vale, ¿sí? And we just combine the two things there. Okay. Unos ejemplos más. I want to try to finish as many with some of these high frequency verbs examples. Querer, to want, again, we pair it up with something if you want to do an activity. But you might say you want a thing, or you might say you want to do something, lo que sea, whatever it may be. Un ejemplo, an example here.
Quiero ir contigo.
Quiero ir contigo. Muy bien. I want to go with you. I want to go. Quiero ir contigo. Quiero ir contigo. Vale. Okay, and there it's wanting to do an activity. So the second activity just stays as an infinitive. Quiero ir contigo. Otro ejemplo.
Quiero vivir en México.
Okay, sí. Okay, muy bien. Quiero un café. Quiero un café. I want a coffee. Quiero un café. ¿Sí? Bien. Bueno, okay. Decir, to say or tell. This one is a tougher one because it goes to digo, dices, right? You want to ask somebody, hey, what are you saying? Because you didn't hear them and you want them to, yeah. ¿Qué dices? What are you saying? ¿Qué dices? ¿Sí?
I have yo digo mucho costas.
Digo muchas cosas. I say many things. ¿Sí? Sí, digo muchas cosas. Bien. Bien. And remember, yeah, that digo is the yo form, and there's no G in decir, but the G is there for the yo form only, right? Digo muchas cosas. Okay. Dar. Un ejemplo con dar. An example with dar. Un ejemplo aquí. Doy dinero cada año a la Cruz Roja. Doy dinero cada año a la Cruz Roja. I give money to the Cruz Roja. Es una organización para desastres. Es una organización que ayuda cuando hay huracanes.
Red Cross.
Eso sí.
Sí.
Sí, a la Cruz Roja. Cruz Roja es Red Cross, ¿sí? No hay dinero. Ok. Ver. Hay un ejemplo con ver. Anybody got an example with ver?
Yo veo una flora magnífica.
Veo una flor magnífica. Veo una flor magnífica. Muy bien, muy bien. Bueno, otro ejemplo. Veo una flor magnífica. ¿Hay otro? Okay, uno más. One more, and then we're going to wrap it up because we're going to build next week on these high frequency verbs to have you do some questioning back and forth with a partner next week. So we're going to use some smaller groups next week. Yeah, we're going to use this a little bit next week. Tomar,
Okay.
we're going to do a little bit with tomar right now. Tomar means to take, like physically take something. Hey, somebody gives you a plate with something, I'll say, oh, toma, take it. And they want you to actually physically take hold of it. So tomar is used for that, but it's used also to just talk about eating and drinking instead of comer, instead of beber. We can use tomar. And everybody knows you mean, if I say, tomo una limonada, it means I'm drinking a lemonade, right?
Mm.
It could also mean I'm taking that glass physically of lemonade, but usually it's going to mean drinking it. Hay un ejemplo con tomar.
Tomo la medicina todos los días.
Eso sí, tomo las medicinas Todas las mañanas. Todos los días. Todas las noches, lo que sea, whatever it might be. Sí, tomo. And there you're really talking about ingesting it, right? Even though it's not un café, una limonada. We talk about that. Okay, we're going to take a lot of these verbs next week, these same ones that you had, but I'm going to put them into a little different context so that you can use them to talk in some smaller groups next week. So next week, we're going to do the first small group, which are called breakout rooms. Okay. And I'll give you your prompts in the email after class ahead of time so that you're thinking about that. And these verbs, and I think I did give you these lists of verbs, did I not? See?
Yes.
Okay. I'll make sure I send this again because this shows you a lot of conjugations. Some of these have some odd conjugations, right? Some irregular forms, right? A lot, sadly, a lot of very common verbs. And the point of this is using words that are high frequency, things that people constantly use in this conversation. Tener, hacer, ir, poder, poner. And all of the prompts won't have all of these verbs, but I'll resend this list so that you can see the conjugations here as well. You're going to have some prompts where you either answer a question or you fill in a blank, to give context and create a whole idea with these verbs, because these are verbs that you just kind of can't do without, even in English. You can't go without these words. In a typical 15, 20-minute conversation, it would be tough to avoid. You'd be hearing a lot of these verbs come up over and over and over again, high frequency. See? Okay. So we're going to force you to use them in some smaller groups next week, but you're going to have a definite structural prompts to help you plug that in. This was the first step today. Bien? Todo bien? All
Bien.
good?
Mhm.
See? Bien? And I'll give you a little listening video just for a story. Nada más, nothing else. It'll be, a slow going kind of story. Y eso es, that's it. ¿Sí? Bien?
Okay, sí.
Muy bien.
Gracias.
Bueno, de nada. And we'll plug in some of these common verbs again next week, and we'll just go a little bit deeper on that subject. Perfecto. Excelente. Entonces, sí. Bueno, entonces nos vemos. Sí, gracias. Muchas gracias. Sí. Y nos vemos, sí, la semana que viene. See you guys next week.
Adiós. Hasta
Sí,
luego.
hasta luego.